Hello, it's Robert Kiyosaki again. Today is April 7th, 2025. Dates are important because what's happening in the world today, as you know, with President Trump and Elon Musk and the world's coming apart. I mean, Germany's in serious trouble, Japan's in serious trouble, and the world debt is going crazy. So a lot of it goes to the point where no financial education in schools, which I think is criminal. I'm afraid inflation is going to go up, and so is unemployment. People will lose their jobs. So if you're concerned about that, is how do you prepare for a life without a job? How do you prepare to be an entrepreneur? We don't need a job. And that was my goal. So in 1974, I was through flying for the Marine Corps. And I loved it. I had a great time. I loved flying combat. It fit my personality. I don't recommend it for everybody, but my personality was perfect. And I met some of the greatest young men of all, fellow pilots, Marine pilots. And the good news is we all came home alive. Our job as Marine lieutenants was to bring our troops home alive. We brought them home. Unfortunately, when we landed at Norton Air Force Base in Northern California, the hippies from the Woodstock generation hit us with rotten eggs and spit on us. And it was terrible. There was no reception coming home. There was no thank you. It was F you, not thank you, But anyway, I had another year to go in the Marine Corps. My poor dad said, go fly for the airlines. I was become an employee. I went, what? But that's his mindset. That's a teacher's mindset. Get a safe, secure job. And then he said, and be sure to get your PhD. I said, why do I need a PhD if I'm going to be a pilot? But that's the trouble with academics. And as you know today, if you're paying attention, it's the liberal academic left that's causing most of the problems with DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, gender-specific things. They want boys to dress as girls and all this stuff. I mean, that's not education. It's called indoctrination. But anyway, how do you prepare for a world where you don't have a job? So in 1974, I'm about to get out. My poor dad said, go fly for the airlines. Most of my friends did. They're very successful pilots. I didn't want to fly anymore. And my rich dad said, you got to prepare to be an entrepreneur. So I've told this many times. He says, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you've got to learn how to handle debt. You see, debt became money in 1971 when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. So you got to use debt as money. So with that, how I prepared was I took real estate courses. How to use debt, how to pay with no money down. And then my real estate instructor, this is in 1974, I'm about 27 or 28 years old. You have to look at 100 deals to find one. After I finished the course, I had to go out and look at 100 deals. And I found one, cost me nothing down. I made $25. I got the property for free just because I took that course. And I made $25. What is my return? With no money in the deal, I'm making $25. What's the answer? And people say, oh, I got a 10% return. Big deal. If I have no money in the deal, I'm making $25. What's my return? Infinite. That means the power of your brain can create money out of nothing legally and pay no taxes legally. So that's why my rich dad had me study real estate. And then he said, you have to learn how to sell. I said, why? He says, because that's what entrepreneurs do. I'm very shy as a Marine pilot. I could kill people. I couldn't ask for a date though, So he says, you better learn how to sell. So I took a job with Xerox. Now, if you don't have the opportunity to work for Xerox, which was a great company, join network marketing. Amway, great companies out there. Network marketing has some fabulous programs to train you how to overcome shyness, how to approach people, how to get through the no's. I'll say it again, is that real estate instructor said, I had to look at 100 deals to find one. It's the same thing when you work with network marketing. You got to talk to at least 100 people. And that's where people fail. And it's not that people are tougher, it's that you're not good enough yet. So every time I took a no, it was good. I tell this story also when I met Kim, she turned me down about 50 times. I just kept asking her. Nothing's very different. If you're going to be successful in life, how can you handle rejection? So join a network marketing company. They have to have a good training program. So you overcome your fear, your shyness, hate rejection and all this. But then this is the other part, is the reason I took real estate here is this here is income statement. This is from the cash flow board game. Income statement, balance sheet. So E's and S's focus here. Income statement. B's and I's focus. These are capitalists. These guys here are working class. Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, called these people the bourgeoisie, the rich. He called these guys the proletariat. Marx was a proletariat. He hated bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie, the capitalists, have the assets. They own the land, they own everything. If you're afraid of losing your job or you're planning on losing your job, take the cash flow board game and start thinking here. This over here is debt. Debt is actually credit. So I borrow my ass off to buy assets. You have to learn how to do that. I don't recommend it because like I talk about Dave Ramsey's live debt free, I agree with him. But this is very sophisticated here. When you can borrow millions of dollars and turn it into millions of dollars, that's capitalism. But you can start with the board game, start small, practice, train your brain to think that way. That's the most important thing. And then take courses like Kenny McElroy has real estate books. He's my partner. Read Kenny's books. Other partner is Tom Wheelwright. He wrote Tax-Free Wealth, How You Can Avoid Taxes. Marx, who's a communist, said that a gradual income tax was essential for the spread of communism. So if you're paying taxes, that means you're a communist. Capitalists don't pay taxes, but that takes skill set. You got to learn. You got to have good accountants, good attorneys. So there's a lot to learn. You don't just pop up one day and say, oh, I'm going to be a capitalist. Because most people have been programmed to be here. And then you have to have higher goals. So one of the main goals of an entrepreneur is to own their own jet. So I own a Lear 60. Trouble is, it's so damn expensive. I'm not going to own it anymore. I'm going to rent one, but I don't want to own it. But the other goal I had was this here is my gold mine. Another goal of an entrepreneur on the fast track in the cash flow board game is, at least my goal was, I didn't want to buy stocks. I didn't want to buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETF, all that garbage. I don't like it. I don't have to buy it because I'm a capitalist. If you follow Tony Robbins, he's going to tell you to do that. Dave Ramsey will tell you to do that. I don't do that. I am a capitalist. So this here, one of the goals of an entrepreneur is, can you take a company public? Can you actually build a business and sell it? And this is on the New York Stock Exchange. So I've now taken companies, I've sold it on Toronto Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange, and next year, NASDAQ. So when you change your mind, you understand this side here, the balance sheet. Your goals can change. You know, my friends who are airline pilots, they want to fly. Oh, I'm a 737 pilot. Maybe someday I'll fly a 757. I want to take a company public. So the size of your dreams, what do you want to do, is only limited by your drive, your initiative, and what you want to do. You can do this all over the world. The numbers are basically the same. This is my gold mine. It's ODV if you want to check it out. I'm not saying don't invest in it. I don't give investment advice. But that was one of my goals, was to take a company public on New York Stock Exchange. I did one on Toronto Stock Exchange, next year at NASDAQ, and I want to own my own jet. Now I decided I don't want to own the jet, I'll just rent a jet. As my friend says, this is gross, so plug your ears, you don't hear it. If it flies, floats, or Fs, rent it. Don't get married. So anyway, that's the lessons of the day from a capitalist. It's a good world. The only limitation and opportunity is you. How bad do you want it? So before I close, this here is baby Buddha and his solid marble. And the reason I have him here is I was born on Buddha's birthday, April 8th, and tomorrow's my birthday. So this is the Buddha here. Of course, my sister is a Buddhist nun. And you know how sisters are. She goes, no. He wasn't born on April 8th. I'm a Buddhist nun, and you're not. I said, okay. But this here is the happy Buddha. And I think everybody should have some spiritual guidance. I'm not saying become Buddhist or Hindu or Jewish or Christian, but spirituality plays a big part of life. I'm not a Buddhist either. I was just born on his birthday. So I got this thing. I don't know how much he weighs. I had to have a forklift come in and move him around. But he's the happy Buddha. I'll tell you, I studied both Christianity and Buddhism. They say the same thing. It's where the Christ spirit or the Buddha spirit comes from my heart. My biggest problem personally is when I get angry, I stop healing from my heart. In Buddhism and Christianity, they talk about practice. What the hell do they talk about practice? The practice was, can you get out of your anger and into your heart? Can you get out of your sadness and into your heart? That's the practice. So when I deal with people, I'm not too successful at it yet, but can I deal with people from my heart, not my anger? And as my excuse is I'm a U.S. Marine, we had to fight that way. But when it came to my crew, I love my crew immensely. My job as a pilot was to bring them home alive. Their job was to bring me home alive. And the greatest love of all was between my air crew and myself. Went down 3 times in Vietnam, and we all came home alive and in one piece. That's love. Thank you.